Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesme 107.1 FM and across the world at SriNews.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Amenfi Central Member of Parliament Peter Kwachiaka withdraws from his bid to retain his seat as an independent candidate some 18 days to the December 7 polls. The NDC has welcomed the decision, and still in the court, renowned lawyer Chachu Chikata is speaking on that recent judgment on the 4 MPs in Parliament. Or bring you his thoughts. Also, Supreme Court set aside December 18 to give its judgment on 2 suits challenging the constitutionality of the anti-LGBTQI bill. Renowned lawyer Chachu Chikata says the Supreme Court judgment on the 4 MP saga was inconclusive and inconsistent. The comment comes as the NPP majority in Parliament expresses joy over the judgment, asking the Speaker to, as it were, reinstate the 4 MPs he said were ineligible to be in Parliament. The Speaker, Alban Bagbin, made the statement after he said that MPs filed to contest as independent and on the ticket of a political party. He argued that they crossed carpet. While expressing his views on agenda on TV3 with me last night, Mr. Chikata highlighted inconsistencies in the judgment compared to previous decisions.
There are inconsistencies between what has been said in previous decisions and the reference to that particular Judge Kwesi's decision. But my point is that at the end of all of that back and forth, citing cases and so on, no directions were given about whether the seats of those 4 have been vacated or not. In fact, what they seem to be saying is that that is a matter which has to be determined as a matter of fact in the High Court. That's my reading of the judgment, that it has to be determined in the High Court. In a sense, we're back to square one.
And you heard the renowned lawyer Chachu Chikata. We'll be bringing you more on this because a former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Freddie Blair, was also on and gave contrary view as regards his own interpretation of the judgment given by the Supreme Court. And we're still here on the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. Thank you for staying. We stay in Parliament because the House restarting processes to pass the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill again should the President fail to assent the passed bill. The anti-LGBTQI bill passed in February of this year is yet to be transmitted to the Presidency for possible assent after the seat of government said it will await the outcome outcome of 2 suits at the Supreme Court before taking a decision as to whether or not to assent to the controversial legislation. The result has been the inability of Parliament to proceed with its constitutional mandate and a protracted legal dispute over the legality or otherwise of the passed bills. Let me bring you some details of this anti-LGBTQ bill that the Supreme Court heard today and has chosen December 18 to give its judgment on it. In February 2024, Parliament passed the anti-LGBTQI bill awaiting presidential assent. Now, in March 2024, President Akufo-Addo said that he will not assent to the bill until determination of suits at the Supreme Court. Again in March, Richard de la Sky filed a second application against the LGBTQI bill seeking injunction of Parliament. Also in May of this year, the Supreme Court heard the injunction application against the anti-LGBTQ bill. July 2024, the Supreme Court deferred the ruling on injunction to hear the substantive case. October, which is just last month, proponents of the anti-LGBTQ bill staged a protest over delays in passing the bill. Now, Judicial Service also absolved itself of blame, saying parties have failed to file processes. Like I told you, the Supreme Court heard the case today. Richard de la Sky, who filed this case, is expected to amend his case by 22nd of this month, and we'll be bringing you more of this as well as crossover to our correspondent for the latest on this. Now, an International Arbitration Tribunal in London has dismissed the claims of Ghana Community Network Services Limited, GCNet, against Ghana, awarding Ghana $2 million in legal fees. This amount includes 1.7%, that's $1.7 million for legal representation, and $441,000 for expert witness fees with simple interest at 1% of unpaid within 30 days of the ruling. Now, GCNet filed for arbitration in June 2022, challenging the government of Ghana's termination of a service agreement for managing customs and trade systems at Ghanaian port. Noble Crosby Annan was there for us. He joins us live in the studio now. Noble, just refresh our memory as regards the background of the story.
Well, Beatrice, the initial agreement between GCNet and the government of Ghana was signed in 2000. The company was tasked to manage customs and trade systems at the Ghana ports. Now, the agreement was extended multiple times, and the trade ministers responsible for the extensions of the contract were Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed Awal. That was from 2017 to 2021. Of course, Pio Gabra as well. Haruna Idris was also involved, as well as Joe Gatti. But crucially, the conversation was that these extensions did not have the proper statutory approvals, violating Ghana's procurement laws. Now, fast forward, the government's termination of the agreement in 2020. The government carried out a value for money assessment of the contract, which led to the decision to terminate the agreement. Now, despite the termination, government decided to compensate GCNet as per the terms of the contract. However, GCNet rejected the offer and sought to challenge the decision. They filed for arbitration in June 2022, alleging wrongful termination and claiming over 3.3 billion cedis in damages. Now, this included complaints about government exemptions and discounts granted to importers. So the legal battles and the claims. GCNet claims that it included accusations of wrongful termination with allegations that the government's actions caused significant financial losses due to the discounts and exemptions. Also, they claim that the company also sought compensation beyond the cap of $6 million set in the contract, arguing for much higher damages. And then let's look at Ghana's defense and counterclaims. So Ghana was represented by the Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, and they countered the claims made by GCNet. They stated that the termination was lawful and in line with the contract's terms. So Ghana also argued that the company's claims for losses due to the exemptions and discounts were baseless, since the policies compiled and complied with both local and international trade regulations. Ghana also maintained that GCNet had waived its right to seek damages regarding these policies by not challenging them earlier, and the government also contested GCNet requests for compound interest, asserting that Ghanaian law only allowed for simple interest. They were looking at the arbitration's ruling, what we're talking about this afternoon. So the arbitration tribunal in London unanimously ruled in favor of the government of Ghana, represented by the Attorney General, dismissing GCNet's claims. The tribunal found that the termination of the agreement in 2020 was lawful, just like has been the position of Ghana and not the position of GCNet. And GCNet had waived its rights to claim damages for the exemptions and discounts. Now we talk about the monies. GCNet was entitled to 5.4 million cedis in compensation for the early termination of the contract.
So you're giving us the implications
Exactly.
if GCNet had won.
So it was entitled to 5.4 million cedis in compensation for the early termination of the contract as specified in the agreement, but nothing more. Then we're looking at the damages that has been awarded to Ghana against GCNet. Let's look at the impact of the ruling. So the tribunal ruling represents a major victory for Ghana as it saves the country from potentially having to pay billions of cedis in damages. The decision also underscores the importance of adhering to legal and contractual frameworks, particularly in the public sector agreements. Ghana's victory further reinforces the government's stance on legal and financial compliance in public contracts, which may have broader implications for similar future agreements. Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Noble Crosby, and bring us that comprehensive details of that GCNet case that has been ruled in favor of Ghana. Now, so here on the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. And this is your election command center. Let's bring you some issues with just some days to the country's general election. And Amenfi Central Constituency Member of Parliament Peter Yao Kwachiaka has officially withdrawn his independent bid in the 2024 parliamentary election, ending his run as an independent candidate. In a statement dated November 18, 2024, the MP cited the recent High Court and Electoral Commission ruling which confirmed the NDC's candidate as eligible to contest as a primary reason for his decision. He said that the High Court decision effectively resolved the issues that prompted his initial decision to run as independent candidate. Now, he also expressed his gratitude to the party's elders and other leaders for their guidance, stating that their council ultimately influenced his decision to prioritize the unity and interests of the National Democratic Congress over personal ambition while reaffirming his commitment to the NDC. Meanwhile, Deputy General Secretary Mustafa Bande has been speaking to Sri FM about this decision of the MP.
We commend him, very commendable. That it's been what the party have always tried to prevail on. But as human beings, each and everyone has how they conceive and receive issues and process them. And so given his own timing, he's decided to bow out. He's welcome back into the party. We respect him as such, as a sitting outgoing member of parliament. And on this note, I think that let me commend Honorable Atuforsen and his team, all individuals who have been involved to ensure that he actually get to understand the implication of his action and to have accepted to step down. I believe that will be a further step to his commitment. After stepping down, it will be required that we will all go together and campaign. Beyond that, I don't think that will be a commitment, but we want to see him join to campaign for His Excellency President Mahama and also try to campaign for the parliamentary candidate, which is a standard that the party have set. So given the next few days, I foresee that development where Honorable Kwachiaka will join back the brotherhood and then join his brothers in parliament for them to do the campaign.
And you heard Mustafa Bande, he's a Deputy General Secretary of the position National Democratic Congress. Dr. Jonathan Asante-Otre is a lecturer and political analyst. He joins us live on the line. Good afternoon to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Beatrice.
Doc, I'm just wondering what you make of this decision by the Amenfi Central man to step down after the court ruled that indeed the candidate for the NDC could run.
Well, I think it's a smart move as far as I'm concerned. Politics, you need to know your timing. And if you look at the NDC as of now, you can see that they are on a rising trajectory. And if for nothing at all, you will want to be part of the success, should it be on a trajectory of winning the final elections. Now, what that means is that his contribution in this, dying embers of the period of the the 8th Parliament, certainly his contributions, will be acknowledged. I can see that, he has realized that there is a need for him to bury his personal ambitions for now and think of the corporate interests of the party. Now, the party itself has given you opportunities in the time past, and you know where you have come from. Now, if you sit down and you analyze carefully, you can't go back to the NPP. Obviously, everybody will look at you as an opportunistic politician. And if that happens, NPP will not give you any recognition. Even if they win or they lose, they will not give any recognition. So for me, it is much more of a display of political astuteness on the part of Mr. Aka. And it is just very difficult, very difficult to bury your own ambitions and ensure that the corporate entity wins. But I believe, for me, the decision is quite timely. At first, there was this antagonism between the party itself, the executives, and that of him, because they felt that he was part in a parcel of machinating behind the scenes for the lady to be disqualified, so to speak. But if you look at the way and manner he's conducted himself, from the time that she was given the opportunity to contest, and at this time that he's also decided to walk out and, of course, to as it were, bar out of the whole process. That is all fair and good, because if at the end of the day they conduct the elections, don't forget there's one independent candidate who has also resigned. If they conduct the elections and you lose, then it means that you've lost out in everything. Because one, the NDC would have considered you as an outcast. You can't go back to the MPP, and I think that by that your political career is gone. Because if the NDC should win the national elections, I don't see how they will consider you in portfolio.
Let me get your brief thought, though, on the timing. Do you think, this ran on for some time, do you think the back and forth would affect this woman who is going into the parliamentary polls?
In actual fact, the back and forth was something that brought Joanna's name into the limelight. A typical example is what happened in Cape Coast North, when Dr. Kwame Ntenaku faced similar challenges of registration. They're talking about his address, accommodation, and for that reason, people were interested. Why is it that somebody who stays in Cape Coast North, a former lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, you are denying him the idea of being on the ballot? So his name, got into the houses, the homes of so many people. So a similar thing, that lady is very popular among that particular, constituency. And herself and Mr. Aka, they have been like a father and a daughter kind of relationship. It is just that this politics is what has created this particular wedge. But be that as it may, I think that this particular popularity that she's gained will rather propel her to have a massive, win on her part. That is how I see it. And of course, having resigned at this point in time, he's going to urge his support base to equally back, Madame Joanna. And I think that will inure to the success, not only to the lady, but to the party as well.
To the party as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, lecturer and political analyst. Thank you. He's a lecturer at the UCC. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We stay on campaign trail, and flag bearer of the governing MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has promised the people of Menchia South of fixing the Kofro market. Addressing party faithful at the Bawumia Connect, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia appealed to the people to hand over the development of the country to him.
Ye want say many of my penny dada na ye kwa kansi ono wa bedi o ma penny pe media menyandi president pe ye vote manwa obetimi di president efie 9 na oko mu vote mami anyame ado betimi di president efie wochi na metimi abaha abaye ejuma amamo Toboy, Monfastiano, Emame, Monfastiano, Emame, Monfastiano, Emame, Namikano, Yawe Juma Bebria, Yabeye, Crowford Market, no. Crowford Market, no. Yabeye Amamo, Yabeye Crowford Market, no. Amamo, Munjai, and to me, Sem, Miba, Mayor Market, Amamo, Yabeye Juma. Baby, also no gina hono, Owana and Bagina, Monto, Emma lawyer, Bafo, Avia, Namato Amami, Midamasi, Yamishra Munina, Bako.
And you had the flag bearer of the governing MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, asking the people of Kofrom to vote for him because he would develop the market. And, well, let's hear the Member of Parliament for Menchia South, lawyer Naneje Bafwewa, who also promised that he would ensure that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia attains 90% of vote from his constituency.
Menchia South for Metomodoto Mashamuba. Same Eshamanu Kra, Mayamamo, Eshamanu Kra, Mayamamo, Eshamanu Kra, Mayamamo. Afiwe, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, His Excellency, Otana Menchiano as a lawyer, be 90% of free war. A one Amesumikacha is a lawyer, and Yaman for Ashamebo, Dr. Meman for Ashamebo. Safia Batway, Yadeba Nasia, Yadeba Nasia, Yadonasika, 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 and Nimonyam Sha, Odiasa Menchia South.
And you heard the Member of Parliament for Menchia South, lawyer Naneje Bafwewa, promising to ensure that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia attains 90% of vote from his constituency. A man, Daniel Opoko, is with the MPP team. He joins us live on the line. Daniel, what more can you tell us? Hello, Daniel, can you hear us?
Right, Beatrice, I'm here. Good
yes,
afternoon.
one more. Yes, good afternoon. What more can you tell us from the Bawumia campaign team?
Right, so today, this morning, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia began his campaign tour at Alpha North Southwest, within the Ashanti region. And basically, he started the engagement with meeting the traditional leaders and also meeting the clergy, like the Muslim clerics, where he's been talking to them about his policies. And key highlights in the policies that he raised, one has to do with trying to roll out a living allowance for all traditional leaders. So from 2025, in case he becomes president, traditional leaders like chiefs will be entitled to some living wages, and also the queen mothers and sub-divisional chiefs were entitled to that. And also mentioned about passport application, where it said from 2025, in case you want a passport, the only thing you will make available is for you to have a Ghana card. And once you have a Ghana card, you'll be able to get access to a passport. They don't necessarily have to go to the passport office and fill a very long form before you get access to a passport. And also mentioned the solar power, that from next year is going to have solar farms across every district, where solar farms will be set up to harness the power of the sun, so that we could reduce the cost on electricity consumption. And basically that's what we're telling the people within the Alpha North Southwest constituency. And they also raise issues about their roads, and also they need to have a university, improve education in the constituency, which Dr. Mahmoud has renewed his commitment to get all those things for them in case they vote for him. So currently he's moving to the second level, which is the Bawumia Connect, where he's taking to the party stage 4 to sell his ideas to them. So right after Alpha North Southwest, he'll be moving to Alpha North before Alpha North Southeast before the close of the day. Today, interestingly, he's concluding all his tour of the Ashanti region, even though some 2 areas have been left yet to be attended to, but he will come back and conclude the course of this month. But today he's concluding everything in the Ashanti region.
Thank you very much, Daniel Opoko. He's our man with the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia team currently in the Ashanti region. Heard him there. The flag bearer is concluding his tour of that region. We talked about the Kofrom market and the Vice President promising to fix it for the people there if he's given the nod. Well, the presidential candidate of the Movement for Change, Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, has also promised the same people that he will fix that same problem. Listen.
I feel very saddened that this project has been hanging for 17 years. Over 17 years. It is an indictment on both the NDC and then the MPP. Look, this market was meant not only to serve people in Krofo, but everybody who understands the architecture of Ashanti will tell you that whether you are in Krofo, Abu, Ashanti, Aswasi, all around here, this is going to be their central market. And these community markets are the only way you can decongest the central market. If we fix this market, do you need to go to the central market downtown? You don't need to do so. So this will be one of my first projects. I'll make sure that you find that there will be a hospital, there will be a kindergarten or nursery school, police station, obviously.
And you had the flag bearer of the Movement for Change, Alan Kwejo Tremanting. Now, the Ahanta West Municipality of the Western Region leads in gender-based violence in selected coastal communities. The communities spread across the Western and Central regions. A research in 18 communities shows that poverty or economic hardship is accounting for the high incidents of sexual, economic and physical violence, especially in Ahanta West. Irama Smith brought us this earlier.
When you get to the fishing communities, most of the times they go to sea and they don't return with enough catch. And this has a telling effect on their livelihood generally. We also know that most of them do not have any alternatives apart from the fishing industry. For some, they have the farming as their alternative, but even this is not so reliable. Now, when this happens, it means that there is so much hardship in such communities and tensions are high. So the least thing triggers violence. That is the explanation that we are being given. Now, this survey was conducted under a project named Women in Fisheries Against Violence. Now, their conclusions indicate that along the coast, it is the Ahanta West Municipality that has the highest incidence of gender-based violence. And this, they explain, is due to the fact that they have a lot of fisherfolk migrating from other areas to this particular enclave. Unfortunately, they also have their limitations because this is a place where their land supply is limited if they are to depend on the land for sustenance because of the Cape 3 Point Forest Reserve, which does not allow them to enter into that land space. So you can imagine the impact on their economy, and this results in the least in triggering violence. So these are the conclusions that they came up with. One other thing too is that a lot of people do not report some of these issues because of our traditional settings where when a man beats a wife, it's normal in marriage. When a woman beats a man, it's embarrassing, you know, so they tend to cover some of these things.
Irama Smith brought us that report from the Western region. And that's it for the news on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Ogbodu. Coming up, Institute for Energy Security projects fuel prices will remain stable in the coming days with price of petrol and LPG likely to decline marginally. Meanwhile, energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Sulemana projects excess oil supply in 2025, urging measures are put in place to harness full benefit.
We're going to have a lot of supply within the system. And what will make the matters a bit dicey and a bit worse, for the bulls, is the fact that China demand is also depressed.
And later, Chamber of Mines calls for more competitive local products as alternative to imported ones. My name is Michael Ogbodu. Details coming up shortly. Please stay. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. The continued depreciation of Ghanaian cedi has prevented petroleum consumers from benefiting from the significant price reductions at the pumps. According to the Institute of Energy Security, IES, the first pricing window of November 2024 has been relatively stable, with international market prices seeing a decrease in the price of liquefied petroleum products. The following news desk report has more.
And Central Function Diasi Seshi Draboso, Rakabana Minta, a candle, Edia Tuga HSA, 1 year won't say.
We'll bring you that inset in our subsequent bulletins. But away from that, energy strategist at Eureka Energy Solutions, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, is urging the government to establish a link between the downstream and the upstream sectors of the petroleum industry. According to him, this connection would enable Ghana to capitalize on the anticipated excess supply in 2025. A crucial oil market gauge is flashing warnings of a potential oversupply in the U.S., suggesting a looming global oil glut due to sustained weak demand from China, the world's top oil consumer.
A bit comfortable. It impacts the economy, the overall economy positively than a stronger upstream side. A stronger upstream side, yes, we'll get direct cash from export of oil, but your downstream will struggle. Unfortunately, we haven't had a workable formula where probably if the upstream is booming, we can cascade that back to the downstream. We haven't done that over the years. And so that's how we're struggling. So I believe that the only way we can take advantage of this kind of market that we are likely to experience in 2025, where the bearish sentiments may likely overcome the bullish sentiments, is to have a kind of a link between the upstream and then the downstream, where each sector can support each other. For sure, if prices are coming down fast, pump prices are going to go down. And of course, that is good for the market, overall economic development, but too much of it is also not good.
That was energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Sulemana speaking. In a related development, some oil marketing companies, OMCs in the country, have begun a slight reduction in petrol prices 3 days into the second pricing window of November. This adjustment offers modest relief to consumers amid fluctuating global petroleum market trends. State-owned Goil, a leading player in the industry, has reduced its petrol prices by 14.64 Ghana cedis per litre to 14.35 cedis per litre. However, diesel prices remain unchanged at 15.45 Ghana cedis per litre. While several other OMCs maintain their prices at the start of the second pricing window, Goil's move could signal a broader trend of reduced fuel prices in the coming days. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, had earlier forecasted a decline in fuel prices as the pricing window opened on November 16. Now, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, is advocating for the increased patronage of made in Ghana and Africa goods to harness full potential of the African Continental Free Trade Area after. Speaking at the 34th CIMG Annual General Meeting, President Dr. Daniel Kasati stressed that CIMG has started the initiative and admonished Ghanaians to follow suit.
In addition to the selected SDGs, we continue to promote Made in Ghana agenda by ensuring that our members eat, drink, and wear and patronize goods, made in Ghana goods and services. As a fallback, we also actively encourage the patronage of made-in-Africa products in the absence of made-in-Ghana brands. This, we believe, is one of the best ways to grow Ghanaian businesses that can then leverage the African Continental Free Trade Area for business expansion and internationalization.
Dr. Daniel Kasati is president of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG. In a related development, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has called on local producers to ensure their products are competitively priced as part of efforts to boost local content participation in the mining industry. The sector has made significant strides in adopting locally sourced inputs and services over the years. However, the Chamber's CEO, Suleiman Akoni, says more needs to be done to strengthen this progress. The Chamber continues to advocate for increased integration of local businesses into the mining supply chain, emphasizing that cost efficiency will be key to sustaining these efforts.
I think it's a good call. But like I said, we need to push ourselves. We need to push the envelope. What are the drawbacks? Are there technical issues? Are there commercial issues? If, for example, the pricing is over the top, relative to what we import, the law allows us to have a conversation. A margin of preference considerations will come in, engaging with Minerals Commission, engaging with the manufacturers, just to identify what these challenges are, especially when they are commercial, to be able to actually do that. Because you can't, on the basis of just say local content, just be increasing prices. Remember what I said. The law talks about procuring locally to the maximum extent possible, consistent with safety, efficiency, and economy. So it has to be economical to be able to, for mining companies to be able to buy from them. So yes, we need to start having those conversations more deeply, both technical and commercial.
That was CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Engineer Suleiman Kone, speaking there. Now, before we leave you, Deloitte West Africa has revealed that the persistent rise in inflation in Ghana and Nigeria will stifle economic growth as businesses face higher costs and consumers reduce spending. This is said will worsen the ongoing cost of living. According to the report, although the Economist Intelligence Unit projects a year-end inflation rate of 20.5%, increased election spending ahead of the upcoming presidential elections will exacerbate inflationary pressures. It added that the Bank of Ghana will leave its benchmark interest rate unchanged as its last Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the year. The policy rate currently stands at 27%. Ghana's headline inflation rose further to 22% in October 2024 from 21.5% in September, where there were 5 items that contributed to the surge in inflation, including alcoholic beverages, tobacco, narcotics, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, among others. And on that note, that'll be all for today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend with Black Kobe. Stay tuned.